Commissioner Uribe, I do recognize you. I see that you press your button to be
Thank you,
acknowledged.
Mayor. I just had a question. I don't know if any of my colleagues have been following the OnePULSE, and I know Comptroller Diamond has had an update. I did receive an update, and I thank you, and I saw that on the agenda we're paying the taxes on the property. Just a question, if I could, to Byron or Comptroller Diamond. There seems to still be fundraising going on now, covered under the City of Orlando for this organization, yet we're paying the bill. And I'm just curious to know, have we ever gotten a total of what they have in their bank out of what they owe us? And I know the situation got sticky and we can't really discuss it offline, so I just thought this was appropriate. Maybe you could take that opportunity, Comptroller Diamond, to tell us, because there just seems to be no accountability, and unfortunately through your memo, we just got reinforced. We may never get any accountability, and I'd like to know if legally we're going to pursue further action or what. So thank you.
All right, Comptroller, I'll come back and address the legal issue, but if you want to opine on what you are finding at this point.
Sure. Happy to. Thanks for the question. And as you might remember, back in November, we had a discussion about Pulse on the dais, and we talked about a number of things. One of the things was what Orange County had done with Pulse, and as you might recall, what Orange County had done with Pulse was provide a grant of, I think, up to $6.5 million. Pulse bought the property, which is on Cayley Street, which I think by now everybody's pretty well familiar with, and then also paid, I think, about $3 million for architecture and design fees related to the foundation's plans to build a new building, and that would be a new museum. As part of that discussion, we were told that we would receive records relating to the county's expenditures to the Pulse Foundation. We have not received those. We've asked for those. Probably the most important of what we asked for was bank statements. We'd like to see a couple of years worth of bank statements just to double check our conclusions about funds that the county spent. So we've not gotten those. I know the mayor has, and you probably want to speak to this, Mayor, rather than me, but I know that's something you've insisted on as well. And those are things that we have not received in spite of the foundation's promises to the contrary.
And I guess my follow-up question, Mayor, if you will, is there's a fundraiser coming up, their yearly 5K, which now the City of Orlando has taken over. So who are they raising money for? To pay us back, to give us what, to help the families? It'd just be interesting to know, because there seems to be no one accounting anywhere for anything that's being done, but yet in June there will be a prominent fundraiser for the OnePULSE. So, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, so first, from a legal perspective, we are pursuing every lawful means to recover whatever we can, including records. As the Comptroller has indicated, he's asked for records. I believe part of the response that has been received is because they're dissolved, they no longer have any staff, they no longer have anyone that can pull records and produce what has been requested. So what I have directed our staff to do is to explore getting access, and we will likely contract with a document firm to make official copies of all records that they do have in storage or what have you. They are required to retain records for a period of time under the laws of our state and regarding internal revenue requirements as well. So we're trying to make certain that we just don't take the excuse that they don't have anybody to actually pull it. So we will explore that so that we can memorialize whatever records going forward that can be of assistance to the Comptroller and whatever audit that he will do to respond to some of the requests made by our board And so our county attorney's office has been working through that process. In terms of the fundraiser, don't know all the mechanics around the fundraiser. I don't know if that's something that the city of Orlando is going to be the benefactor of funds, but obviously, you know, it would be concerning if the OnePULSE Foundation is dissolved and they're continuing to raise money and to accept money or donations. Don't know the mechanics of that. There's some legal issues centered around that. Doesn't necessarily fall within the authority of this board, but for our knowledge and information, I'm glad you are mentioning that. We will, after this meeting, explore what is going on with that. But in terms of paying the outstanding real estate taxes that are owed on the property, obviously through a contractual agreement in advance between Orange County and the OnePULSE Foundation. The wisdom of our board was to protect the county and in its relationship with the OnePULSE Foundation to ensure that they would execute their plan according to the agreement we had. And obviously, we now know that they were not able to execute, but the protection that we had was that if they acquired any land, it would inure back to the ownership of the county, and we're well into that process at this point. And unfortunately, while it was in their ownership, they did not pay the taxes. And so as a result of that, we're going to pay the taxes because we don't want to end up in a situation where there's a tax deed sale or any of that that can further complicate the ownership issues and our ability to recover what we can. It is my understanding that it's somewhere around $51,000, and in terms of the overall value of the property, you know, our real estate division has estimated the value of the property somewhere in, I think, the 2.7 million range, if I'm not exactly accurate. What is it, 2.4 or 4? 4? Come on up with it. So whatever she says, it's in comparison to what we would pay in taxes. You know, we're better off paying it than not. So Whitley, if you will kind of chime in here, I appreciate it.
Certainly, Mayor. Good morning. Our real estate management division did 2 appraisals on the property as part of our due diligence to negotiate this termination agreement. The average of those 2 appraisals came back at just over $4 million. I think it was $4,050,000. So,
Okay.
and you're correct, Mayor, the property taxes are just under $52,000.
Okay. So you understand, we're, you know, paying the $51,000. We going forward, if there's a way to recover whatever we put in, we'll pursue that. But for now, it is in our financial interest and that of the taxpayers to at least pay it so that we don't have a further calamity from this set of circumstances. Okay. All right. So with that, I think we answered all the questions. Well, okay. Commissioner Gomez-Cordero.
Oh, it's me? Oh, okay. Mayor, just a question. Well, how much would be the taxes?
It's 51,000 and something, but
It's just under $52,000, Commissioner.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bonilla.
Yeah, I apologize if this has already been discussed. You know, it's been some time and we have so many things that we cover. But I was just asking because I thought that when you're a nonprofit, you don't pay property taxes, and this was told, well, they were renting it, so it wasn't really used as, you know, a charitable use, and that's why they have property taxes, but they weren't supposed to rent it because that wasn't approved by us. So what did we have in place in order to make sure we had oversight? I don't remember.
Well, they were supposed to be producing reports, financial reports, and some other things, which is why we've asked the controller to kind of explore and to make certain that that which they were required to do, they were doing, and it was produced in an accurate way. And so he's still in the process of making that determination.
Okay, so that was supposed to be an annual report that they were supposed to provide?
They did provide reports. They provided quarterly reports.
But the reports only covered what we gave, the money that we gave them and what they were using based on what we gave them. So if they were renting it, that wouldn't show up in the reports, would it?
Well, no, it didn't. And that was a breach of their agreement, and I think that's part of what motivated the county and the county attorney's office to start the proceedings that it did. And there's, and I know the county attorney's office built in language that said if they breach the agreement, then the property goes back to the county.
Yeah, but we didn't find out about the rental until they were going to dissolve, and we found out that they were going to dissolve. So it could have, if they didn't dissolve, we would have never found out about that. So I'm just wondering, what, do we have anything to provide oversight to see what was actually happening?
So again, kind of as I explained earlier, we're in the process of using all of our lawful authority to obtain records, and then from there, we don't know what we don't know at this point, but depending upon what the controller finds, what we find, if there's an opportunity to hold someone accountable, those things are not yet determined at this time.
Okay, well, I guess, this is one nonprofit, and I think when they had come, I had stated they're not the only ones who are doing this type of activity, not the exact activity, but, where they're, giving raises to their CEOs or whatever. They're not unique in some of the issues that happen with some nonprofits, and we didn't have any oversight to really see what was happening, and I'm concerned that we don't have in place some oversight over other nonprofits as well, and I just want to have the discussion that perhaps in the future we could have a broader discussion, a more in-depth discussion on how we could provide more oversight and know what is going on with agencies and organizations that we're giving money to, and that they're really upholding the contract that we entered in with them.
That's arguably,
We did on the YMCA.
Because
Yeah, but we need
what I
something
will say
like
is that
a
we
template,
probably have
where
more oversight
everyone-
than perhaps any other county in Florida. We're the only county in Florida that has an independently elected auditor or controller.
Yeah,
And
I
as
wonder,
such,
I wonder all the problems in the counties that don't have that, and the cities that don't have that.
I'm just saying,
it's a huge
you enter into
problem.
these contractual relationships, you put in writing what the rules of engagement are, and then you have reports. So I don't want us to go down a slippery slope and impugn everyone that we do business with, but obviously this community, that was a major tragedy that had an emotional impact on the people who live here. And as such, the people who live here wanted to do good to memorialize the tragedy that occurred and to take care of those families and those survivors. And because of that emotional connection to it, everybody wanted to do good. And so, sadly and unfortunately, the OnePULSE Foundation did not execute the plan that they had, and we find ourselves today. The City of Orlando, because it is in the City of Orlando, has at this time stepped up and purchased the crisis site, and they're doing whatever they're doing to, again, try to end up in a place where there is some type of appropriate recognition of what happened. And I don't know, we'll explore with the city.
Yeah, I was saying, Mayor, it looks like
Byron.
the City of Orlando, and the Strength of Orlando is actually the party that's conducting the community 5K Rainbow Run this year. So presumably it's going towards that permanent memorial, as well as I read through. I just Googled it while you were, when it came up.
So it's a good question, but let's just follow with the city and determine what the facts are. With that, if there are no other questions, then we're going to move forward on our agenda for today. And